Major General Milford H. Beagle has been serving as the commanding general of the 10th Mountain Division here at Fort Drum since July of last year. We sat down with him via Zoom. General Beagle, it's great to see you again. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for your time for sitting down with us today.
No, Alex, this is great. And I mean, this is time well spent and time that I enjoy spending, especially with you, because I get to see you on a pretty, regular basis. So it's pretty awesome to be talking to somebody that you know. And I definitely appreciate your time as well.
Well, the feeling's mutual. He is only the second person of color to command our home base since now retired 4-star General Lloyd Austin, who served in the role from 2003 until 2005. Though General Beagle is proud of this accolade, his focus is on keeping our troops ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Today, you are leading one of the most deployed divisions. Can you share how you ensure the 10th Mountain is trained to deploy at a moment's notice?
Yeah. So the key thing, Alex, is making sure we're ready. I mean, the training we're going to do, we have, training packages, training opportunities, just like our brigade down at JRTC, Joint Readiness Training Center right now. But it's really making sure everybody's ready first. I mean, that is a priority, and that is one of my top priorities is readiness. And when I talk readiness, and when we say making sure soldiers are ready, that means, their health, their fitness, their personal affairs. If the soldier is ready in that sense, now we can train. And a lot of times we're training for the unknown. We educate for, uncertainty. We train for certainty. But as we deploy and be in the most deployed division, there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. So it's very easy to do the training piece. It's very hard to do the readiness piece, because if you think about those areas I covered, you're talking health, you're talking fitness, you're talking personal affairs. That's truly the day-to-day fight. So my focus is there. And once that's complete and the soldier, the family, they're all taken care of, then they can train, and they can train to whatever comes their way, which again, in our history, our deployment, track record, we've pretty much done it all. And that is a mission that continues to go a focus every single day.
Part of that training, how to be a leader.
Leader development is one thing I'm excited about because it's so much you have to give back to those that, are now walking a mile in the shoes that you've already walked. And that's where it really gets good in terms of, what I do, with my job is, I've got more career behind me than I do ahead of me. And what am I going to do with it? You've got to impart that knowledge on the team that's coming up behind you, because somebody's going to be in the seat years from now. And my goal is, they've been developed properly to do what I'm doing at this point.
Someone who imparted that same sort of knowledge onto General Beagle, his great-grandfather, who served in World War I and was stationed at Fort Jackson when it was still segregated. And I recently learned that your great-grandfather is a World War I veteran. So as we begin today's interview, could you take a few moments to just share your story and the story of your grandfather with us?
Yeah, so I love sharing that story, but just to give you a little bit of context around it, because again, you can talk to several people and they may have a relative that served at, various periods, throughout our history, World War I, World War II. But it was, while I was at Fort Jackson, when I went to command there, and I didn't find out until I was there. Knew my grandfather had served, knew it was World War I, but as relatives, pieced together where I was going, what I was doing, they said your great grandfather fought in World War I. So I pulled up records, had my historians look into it, and I said the key thing I wanted to know is great grandpa served, and it was honorably, right? That's all I really wanted to find out. And so they kept peeling it back and found out that he enlisted at Fort Jackson. And that was at a time when, Army was segregated. He couldn't go into certain branches. I mean, the branch that I grew up in the infantry, you weren't allowed to serve in infantry, if you were of color. You weren't allowed to be an officer if you were of color. But that was the time that he joined. And so a lot of what he did there was labor. He did deploy, to France. And me coming in as a great grandson 100 plus years later to command the installation was something that, locally everybody pieced together, and it was very powerful, not only for the installation, but the community. And a lot of people would say to me is like, pretty ironic, that's all happening. And I'll be very quick to correct him and say, it's not really irony, it's progress, right? And it takes, in some cases, 100 years to see that progress, but it is progress as we strive to do multiple things in our Army with regard to diversity, equity, inclusion. And that was one case of it. And the good thing about my great grandpa, I was very fortunate to, he didn't pass away until I was 15 years old. And so I knew him. He didn't really share a lot of the war stories, which most soldiers, for whatever reason, we tend not to do. But I did know him, spent plenty of time with him, and so that was pretty surreal for me to piece all that together. Walking on installation, Camp Jackson back then, similar to our Camp Drum back in the day, was just all just phenomenal.
When we first originally sat down for this interview, it was for part of a series for a local organization called Advocate Drum, and is available in its entirety on our website. General Beagle says that it's conversations like these that are a huge part of that progress he mentioned in the Army.
This forum does it because part of it is, we always have a bias to action and not a bias to understanding. But this Advocate Drum is one of those forums, and I was knew about Advocate Drum the last time. It was great because it was all about understanding. Just understand, our partners, the team, what you do, and what you need, and that's where I really applaud, Advocate Drum in and of itself, is that bias to understand first before we do anything, and that pays dividend when not only are we telling our story, but we have others in the community that can tell our story, and they can see it from a perspective of empathy of, here's why this needs to be a certain way. And I think that's why so many things have worked out so well between us and the North Country and our community, is because of that understanding. So there's not ever, to me, one thing that I can, point my finger at and say, because it's the bigger thing. It's exactly what we're doing right now. It's that bias to understand, and understand each other very well, so that we're connected and we remain connected.
During these times when it's so difficult to connect, we were just grateful to get the time.
Hope it helps, but it's always good, like I said, to see you. And for the rest of the team out there, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. And it's just great to be in the North Country. It is great to be in this division, and look forward to seeing, many of you, which I know I will at some point in time. But thanks again.
Well, I know last time I saw you were on stage playing drums, so maybe we can make that happen next time. I personally enjoyed that.
It was great for me. I mean, being at India River, that was awesome. So I just got to get to, once the word spread, I'm pretty sure I'll be in other places too, but it's all good. It is phenomenal.
We'll see you Saturday night then.
All right. Thanks,